And here we are. Good morning. Perfect. So, let's see. First thing we have to do today, that is, we have to create our folder for next homework that I will leave into the video description. Good morning, everyone. So, let me create the folder. That will be 3ds Wednesday 11 to 1, and this will be homework 6, and I will create this now. I will leave these into the chat, and then also into good morning into the description. And also when I will save my video into the channel, you will find it, so whenever you need you can click it in order to upload it. So this is that. Here, this is right link to create. Then I go to the video, and into the chat I will, where's the chat? Is this one? I will, perfect. And uh, I have pasted this link in here. When I will save this video, you will find it into the video description as well. Okay? Wait a second. This is the previous one. Yes. Okay. My next one is about to come. Okay. So, what we have to do today? Today we have to see something that is particularly interesting, and we have to see a very complex modifier that is called good morning. Good morning. I was saying we have to see a very complex modifier that is called edit poly. I will just write it here. And so, main topic for today is, let me just this. Okay, we have to see something called edit poly, and this is a modifier that allows us to work with any 3D object by being able to manipulate the geometry of our 3D object in a lot of different ways, but mainly, let's say, if we have something that looks like a box, like this, we will be able to manipulate the box by selecting vertices, or by selecting here, by selecting edges, and so on, or by selecting polygons of our objects. So we will be able really to select these part of our geometry, and we can scale them, rotate them, move them. But not only. When we will see edit poly, we will do this because according to which particular selection we use in our edit poly modifier, we will see that if we select vertex or edges or polygons, edit poly will give us different tools to work with. So what is also interesting is that edit poly is such a big modifier, and it has useful so many useful tools inside that it cannot be explained in one lesson only. For this reason, I will use at least 2 lessons to explain edit poly modifier, and today we will just see a small selection of tools. We should see just 4 of them, and I want to start immediately. So check this. First of all, edit poly is a modifier that must be applied to 3-dimensional objects. So you can apply it, mainly we will see boxes, but it can be applied to whatever has 3 dimensions, boxes, spheres, and even objects that are more complex, like extruded shapes, lathe, loft, proboolean, whatever is 3D can be manipulated with edit poly. There is only one simple adjustment that I want you to explain in order to work with editable poly a little bit better. That is this. Look, if in my 3ds Max I create a sphere, you may notice something that is particularly interesting, and also something that probably is not happening at the same way in your 3ds Max. That is, in my sphere, I am able to see all these white lines that are my edges. And this is simply because in my particular viewport, I have selected one adjustment to make my life easier, to easily understand where edges and vertices of my geometries are, and I want to show you how you can obtain same thing into your 3ds Max, that it is super easy, and it is this. Look, what you have to do is you need to move your mouse in this area of your viewport. If you notice, in your viewport, by going there, there is something written that is default shading. What you have to do is you have to left click here and take care, it is left click. You have simply to enable this option here that is called edged faces. Okay? Can you find it? Let's say yes. But when you left click in here, boom, you will see this appearing in your viewport. And look, by default, when this is off, a sphere looks like this. But working with vertices, let's say, of a sphere, by not knowing where they are, it is something that, first of all, makes no sense, and it makes working with edit poly becoming extremely complex. And if you simply make this adjustment instead, that is, you left click and you left click edged faces, boom! You will see edges appearing, and we can immediately understand that this is a vertex, then here there is another vertex, here there's another vertex, here, so on and so on. Okay? And these are edges, and this is a polygon, this is another polygon, and we can immediately understand how our geometry works. Perfect. So, step 1 accomplished. Step 2, let's really use edit poly in our geometry. So, let's apply edit poly modifier. So, I have my sphere selected. Okay. I go to the Modify tab, where I find all other polygons, and I click Modifier list, and I scroll down the menu till I find this modifier, the one that is called Edit Poly. I apply Edit Poly to my sphere, and at the very beginning, it looks like nothing changed. But if we pay attention, we can discover that now, instead of having parameters of the sphere, now I have these symbols appearing. And they are 5. We will study for a few weeks, we will study just 3 of them. And they have something that maybe remind you that particular tool that we have seen called editable spline. And the concept is very similar, just applied into 3 dimensions. But mainly what we have when we select the edit poly modifier is that now if we click this button here, the one that has 3 dots, we can notice that this will make my vertices becoming available, and I can select them. And for example, if I click move, I can start by moving not the entire sphere, but I can move only those selected vertices. If I select instead these here, if I select this second editing mode, this one, the one that has like a triangular shape, that is for edges. So if I click edges, I will be able to click this elements. So again, I can select my edges, I can click move, I can rotate them, I can scale. And last but not least, I can click this fourth editing tool, the one that is looking like a square. This is called Polygon. And if I click Polygon, I will be able to select this small surface all along my selected geometry. And again, I can start by messing around. So I can start by scaling this polygon. I can rotate the polygon. I can move polygon as well. Okay. And I can do the same thing if I select more polygons at the same time. I can move, rotate, scale. So basically, I start using geometries in 3ds Max like they are uh, a piece of clay, and I can start by being able to push, pull things, and so on and so on. And this is just the beginning of using Edit Poly Modifier. Why? Because technically we use Edit Poly Modifier not just to move or scale elements in our geometry, but in a very similar way that is like we have seen for editable spline. We use different selections according to the fact that we may need to use different tools. So why this is important? This is important because if we select or vertex or edges or polygons, if we scroll down our edit poly menu, we will discover that we have a lot of tools that will work with vertex, edges, or polygons. There are really, really a lot of them. And most important thing is that they are so many that they can't be even explained in one lesson only. So I will instead divide this lesson at least sorry, into 2 lessons to try to explain useful tools, but not them all together, because it would be a little bit confusing. Today, we will see instead 4 tools that are inside Edit Poly Modifier. And these tools are one tool that works into edge editing mode, 3 into polygon editing mode. So the tool, and I will write them just to remember, the tool that I want to show you in edge editing mode is the one that is called connect. So in edge, I will show you one tool that is called connect, and this is first. Later on, I will show you instead into polygon. So into polygon editing mode, I will show you 3 tools that are: one is called Extrude, Another one is called inset. And third tool into Polygon is the one that is called bridge. Okay? This should be our today menu for edit poly modifier. And let's start with connect. That is the one that we find into edge editing mode. So let's delete these and let's see what what connect does. So look, let me also delete this horrible sphere, and let's start by something a little bit easier. So I will make a simple box just to start with, so we have less geometries to work. So let's see connect. What connect does is basically this. If I need to have more edges and only and also more edges into very specific areas of my geometry, what I need to think is this. Look, if I need to add this edge in this position, what I have to do with connect is just that. I have to select this and this edge, then I select connect, and connect will create this new edge in between. But connect is even a little bit more complex, so there are more options to work with. And why you have to know this? Simply because, look, if I apply edit poly and I click edge, because connect is something that you find only if you first click edge, by scrolling down the menu, you will find connect. But here's the trick. You can notice that next to connect, there is a smaller button. And whenever I need to click a tool in Edit Poly in 3ds Max, I will never click the name of the tool. Never. What I have to do instead is I need always to click this tiny little button next to the name of the tool that is called settings. So I will generically say I click connect, but in reality I don't click, so just to put more emphasis, I don't click the name of the tool, I click settings next to the tool, so I click next to it here, always, just click here, okay? So look, I select my two vertical edges. With these two vertical edges selected, now I can click settings next to connect, and I will have this floating window that I can also move into that part of the screen that won't cover things that I'm doing. In here, there is our main parameter, that is this number here. the number that is 1. So that parameter means that now between our previously selected edges, 3ds Max is going to create one only additional edge. So just to repeat, just to let you understand the concept or the operation that we are doing, we have started by selecting this and this edge. Then we have clicked connect. So what connect is doing is it is connecting our two selected edges by creating an additional one. And why this will be so interesting? Because if now I click OK, so I click this check sign here, I will discover that now my box has this additional edge. Adding these allows me to have an additional element, an additional edge that I can deform. Okay? By adding edges also, I have additional vertices, because now instead I can just move this vertex, and when I click connect and I increase the number of edges, I also have split polygons. So now I can work with this polygon only. Let's say I can scale it maybe. Okay? And by using connect, I can basically add more details to my geometry, and I can have more edges, more vertices, more polygons to work with. And before showing an example, I need just to show you that when you select connect, so if I click this edge, let's say this one, and I click connect, but again I click settings next to connect, that parameter that shows you the number 1, that parameter is only the default value, because if I need, I can have more than one new edge. So just by increasing this value here, in between my two selected edges, I can have immediately more than one edge, and also all my edges are perfectly equally spaced. Okay? So, if I click OK now, if I click move, for example, now I will have these, I will have these, but I will have a lot more control elements, and I can really start by detailing my object in a more complex way. Okay? If this is clear, and believe it or not, Connect does this only, I want to show you one phenomenal example that will leave you speechless. That is this. Look. Start from a new beautiful box. So just to repeat that you can apply Edit Poly to 3D objects. Look, you select this box, you go to the Modify tab, you apply edit poly, and this time I will do something that makes a little bit more sense, but this time I will select top left edge, if you look from here, with Control key pressed, I select top right edge, and now I click connect. Right now, having one more edge is exactly what I need. So I leave this parameter 1. I click OK. And look here, because this would be fantastic. Just by adding one more edge on the top of my box, if I select it and I move it up, boom! I have made in a few seconds that house that was homework 1. No? So, imagine this now with the door, windows, fireplace, and then surrounded by the fence, trees. Oh, wait. Trees are green. Okay. This is a completely different way to obtain a 3D model of that particular house from homework 1. Okay. It is not more or less correct. It is just a different way to obtain it. Maybe it looks like it is a little bit easier, but there are positive and negative aspects in all different ways to create 3D models in 3ds Max. And especially when I will show you materials, you will notice the difference in using this technique or the other. Okay? Can we move on? Give me a sign. Let me read the chat that is down here. So when I do this, it's not that I'm falling asleep, but I have the screen for the chat down there. Oh, finally, a few yeses. Perfect. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so let's see other tools, and let's see edit poly used with polygons, and I want to show you Extrude first. There is a tool that is extremely helpful, but it is a little bit more complex than Connect. So it works like this. You select, after applying Edit Poly, you select Polygon, and when you click Polygon, you will see that you can select these parts of your geometry. So I will start by selecting this one, let's say, and by scrolling down my Edit Poly menu, I will find that button that is called Extrude. But again, notice that Extrude has a tiny square next to it. So when I say that I click extrude, if sometimes I forgot to say, also because after a while it becomes annoying hearing same things, I don't click the button, while I always click settings next to the button. This is crucial. So what I do now is simply this. With my polygon selected, I click settings next to extrude, and main parameter that I want to start changing is the one that has a number. Right now it is 0. But if I left click and drag inside this area where I see arrows, if I left click and I move up my mouse, I will see that I can extrude that part of my polygon, sorry, of my geometry, and I create this new additional geometry into my house. Okay? And what is interesting is that you will see that my extrusion had its direction that is this one. So I've selected a polygon that is facing, let's say, left side of my screen, and the extrusion direction matches this direction. Let me see what happens if I select a polygon that is angled, so like this. I click OK, and then I select this polygon. Can you see that this polygon is angled and its face, that is this, is facing up like that? So look what happens if I click extrude. Extrude goes always in a direction that is perpendicular to the face that I select. So if I select this angled face, it goes in this angled direction. And this is particularly important because this behavior that is, let's say, highly predictable, so I can understand that these will be extruded on my right, like this. But this behavior is something that can be slightly different if we select more than one polygon at the same time. So, see this weird behavior. And also let me delete those sketches. But see this. Look, these 3 selected polygons. And I have select them by using control. So I select, hold control, and I click into these faces. When I click extrude, and again I use settings next to extrude, you can see that now the direction is not going exactly as I was expecting, because I thought that top polygon should be extruded by going up, front polygon should be extruded going in front, and left polygon should go to the left. So why they are instead all going to this weird angled direction? The direction of extrusion is something that can be managed, and there are three main options that you have to select. There are these. Look, if you notice here in my extrude settings, there is an additional option that is called extrude by, and only by default this is exactly as it is, like this, and this symbol is called extrude by group. So what it does, extrude by group? Extrude by group simply finds all polygons perpendicular directions, and it finds which is the average in between them, and then it extrudes your polygons in one common direction, that is the average in between all my selected polygons. But this option can be changed. So there are other two options. One is called local, and one is called by polygon. And you will notice three completely different behaviors. Look, this will be extrude by group. This will be extrude by local. That will be like this. And you can still change it. This will be extrude by polygon, like so. Okay? Then I will show you another example. But what it is most important to understand first is that there are these three options: by polygon, by local, by group. And I will click OK. What is important is that there is not right or wrong. What you have to understand is that sometimes you have to choose one, sometimes another, sometimes third option, according to which particular result you need to obtain. And to make this a little bit clear, I will make one additional example like this. Look. I make a sphere and I apply edit poly to this sphere. Okay? Ready for this? Look. I apply edit poly, and I need to use extrude. So extrude is a tool that I'm discovering into polygon. So I click polygon, and I will select, let's say, 1, control 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe select more. Exactly. Select these 12 polygons. Why I've selected the sphere? I've just selected the sphere because it has a lot of similar polygons, so I can show you easily the difference between extrude by group, extrude by local, extrude by polygon. So see this. Example number 1. I select, wait a second, I have a cable here. It's annoying, so I will snap it here. So I said, I select extrude, and I will start by using extrude by group. So I increase, and this is extrude by group. Look, even if none of my polygon has this as a perpendicular direction, what 3ds Max has done is it has discovered this direction, this direction, and this direction, find the average in between, so all my polygons are extruded following this axis. This means extrude by polygon, and I can click OK. But now, look what I will do. Into the sphere, I will select this polygon set. That is basically same exact set of polygons that I have selected before, just shifted on the right to see the difference. So now, if I use extrude, but I use local extrusion, see the big difference. So I click these, then I click local, and boom! You can see that each polygon is extruded along its perpendicular face, but they are still sticked together. Last but not least, I select again with Control key selected other 12 polygons. Oops, why you're here? These. I click extrude. I click by polygon. Ready for this? 3, 2, 1, go! Boom! And this is the big difference. So each polygon is extruded along its own normal direction that is perpendicular, but each polygon is treated like an independent element. So even if we have used same tool and also with same exact values, what we see here is the result of extruding by group here, extruding by local here, extruding by polygon here. Okay? So again, there is not right or wrong, there is not the one that you have always to use, because it depends on the particular transformation that you want to obtain for your geometry. Okay? See? Yes? No? Maybe? Because if this is clear, I want to show you inset, then bridge, then we will make several examples, and then I will also explain what to do as a homework. So let me check the chat if everything is clear till now. Awesome. Thank you so Thank you so much for your feedback. Very nice. Okay, so let's move on and let me explain the tool that is called inset that is here. Again, it is a polygon tool, so you will find it only if you are using polygon editing mode. And what is important is that even inset has the possibility to work by group or by polygon. But what inset does? Inset basically creates the offset of a polygon or a group of selected polygons. So again, see this. First of all, and this will be probably last time that I repeat, because if not, it will be boring. When I want to use inset, I don't click inset as a button. I click settings next to inset here. So look here. If I select one single polygon and I just zoom in and I increase inset amount, technically what I do is just I make a beautiful offset of my selected polygon. And the offset, like any other offset, basically creates but this goes only inside, it doesn't go outside. So what it does is it creates a smaller polygons inside my selection. And if I click OK, this is my result. But inset also works by using groups or not. What it means? Check this. If I select all of these polygons and they are all touching another one, so they are a continuous loop of selected polygons. If I click inset, again settings next to inset, you will discover that I will basically create a frame around. So I create an offset of my entire loop of selected faces. But you can also notice that in my inset parameters there is this element here. And even inset works by group or by polygon. By group is always selected by default, but if you change this parameter, instead of group, you change it by polygon, the effect of inset will work polygon by polygon like this. So even if they were all next to each other, when I use inset by polygon, doesn't matter anymore, but all my polygons are offset as independent elements. Okay? And believe it or not, inset is a tool that works in general in combination with extrude. So a lot of times you will find yourself in conditions like using inset first. Then, once that you have inset your polygons, you can select them and you can click extrude, maybe less. And you can extrude these polygons. But then maybe, why not? You may want to inset these polygons again. And another interesting part that I probably forgot to mention before is that extrude can be used with positive height. Look, if you want to go outside your object, but extrude can be also negative if you want to push vertices inside your object. Okay, so let's see. I will make these. Okay, then I inset again, maybe less. But after making two positive extrusions, so by making this kind of pyramid things going outside, I click extrude and I can use a negative value, and the face that I am extruding will be pushed inside the volume of my geometry. So starting from a sphere, I start by adding all these very interesting detail to the shape of my object. Okay? Does it work? Let me check. I hope so. Waiting for a vital sign that you are there and you are not falling down from, oh, very nice, falling down from your chairs. Also one technical information is if you want to repeat these on every square on the circle, is it possible to copy the action? This is an interesting question. Yes. I got the question, but unfortunately, you don't want. I know that you don't want to hear the answer. There is this. Technically, yes, you could record the action, but in 3ds Max, recording action is particularly complex, and you should start by using a scripting language. So, I mean, there is not like a macro recorder like you can do easily in Photoshop. In here, this would be particularly complex. You should basically write a code that is your options. And then I will answer to the second question that is there. So in reality, technically the answer is no. So you have not the possibility to record easily an action. So if you want to do this to all of your polygons with a bit of patience, you will simply select from the beginning all Let me also select these. Perfect. So you select, again, you select all of your polygons from the beginning. Maybe here there will be a little bit of a problem. So with Alt, I will deselect these for now. Perfect. So you just have to select all of your polygons together, click Inset, click by polygon, and start working with these independent pieces. When you click OK, all of your inset polygons are immediately selected. So if you extrude them, you will extrude them together. Then you click OK, and they remain selected. So you can inset them again. And you can extrude them again. So it is easier than you may think in working with multiple polygons, but you can do this in separate times. You must do this at the same time for all of your objects, and then you will obtain something like this. Okay? This is question number 1 for Frederick. Is it clear? So that then I can answer question number 2. Perfect. Question number 2 says, the inset doesn't go inside, just change the size on the polygon surface. Huh. What? The inset doesn't go inside. Look, let me see. Let me select these. Let me select the polygon and let me click Inset. So, when you use Inset, you must just verify one thing, that is this. Your polygon has a certain dimension. And when you use Inset, what you do basically is the number that is written here is the distance that you give between your original polygon and the offset that goes inside. But when I say it goes inside, it means, look, that this is on the plane, is not going inside the sphere. Inset means that I stay on my polygon orientation, and I create an offset of the polygon inside the polygon itself. So when you say inside, it means this. So if you do this, first of all, you have to do inset till a certain level, because if your dimensions become too big, then inset won't work anymore. And you see that it becomes weird. But when you use inset, you just make an offset and you click OK. To push the polygon that you have inset before inside the sphere instead, this is when you must use extrude, and you must use extrude with a negative value to go inside the sphere. Okay? Is this the question? And it was also right answer or not? Let me know. I'm waiting. Oh, I'm so happy. That explains everything. I mean, I'm too happy. I mean, these are answers that I love to read. Perfect. So now let's see last tool, and then I will show you examples and then the homework. Last tool that I want to explain, it looked like, no, it looked like, but no. Inset make the offset, and then the indent is made by negative extrusion. Yes, yes, yes. So let's see last tool. That is the one that is called bridge. And let me delete all these horrible objects so that I can explain what bridge does. Also, I will use tools that we have seen before, but look here. First, I start by using edit poly, and I will extrude this polygon here. Then I will extrude this polygon here. And first interesting thing that you may notice, again, just to go back to the question before, when you use one tool in your object, you may notice that at least 3ds Max saves values that you have used before. So first was extruded 30.322 centimeters. Without clicking again, look, if I keep using extrude in this object, you will notice that this value will be immediately used. Look. Can you see? So making operations that are repeated, at least it becomes easier. But why I'm doing this? Simply because now I want to show you the tool that is called bridge. What bridge does is simply this. Look, can you see now I have this kind of C-shaped object, and what you can see is that now, let me pick the pen, now I have faces, polygons, sorry, that are facing each other. So I have, oops, no, I didn't want to move it. Look, I have this polygon here that has its face that is looking this direction. And on the opposite side, I have this polygon that has its face looking here. So once that I have facing polygons in 3ds Max, what I can do is I can connect them and I can create missing volume by using bridge. So if I select those two facing polygons and I use bridge, basically I will be able to create this missing element, this part. This is what bridge does. Bridge has simply a few options. We will study one option only that is called segment, simply because along the bridge you can immediately choose how many segments you need. So you can make bridges with one or more polygons, and we will discover when this becomes useful. But first of all, let me show you this. To use bridge, you have to go to polygon, click one, and then with control, you must click the opposite polygon that you want to connect. And now again, we click settings next to bridge. Remember, we don't click the tool itself, but settings. So this is what bridge does. Okay? And you can see that bridge has 3000 parameters here. You can, for a long time, you can forget them all. Just this one, sometimes it can be useful. That is the number of segments. Because if we want, we can increase number of segments so that without needing to use connect afterward, we can have a bridge with more vertices to be modified, and we will see why in a second. But this is what bridge does. It connects facing polygons. Also, polygons that you connect doesn't have to be perfectly the same, perfectly opposite to each other. What it means is this. Look, if I have, let's say, this, and then I have this, sorry, exact, and then I extrude again these two polygons like this. Now I can select this one, and maybe I can select control this polygon here. So you can see that they are not exactly one in front of the other, but at least their directions are more or less facing each other. No problems. I click bridge, and bridge connects these two objects correctly. Also, the reason why I may need to have more edges is simply because if I need, in this way, I can later on go to vertex or go to edges and For example, I can start by immediately deforming these vertices, and let's say I can move these here, I can move these there, I can move all of these vertices here, and so on and so on. Okay? This is what bridge does. Now, if these four simple tools are clear, I want to show you how to use them and how to use a combination of these tools together in order to make more realistic examples. Like, see this. Example number 1. This would be too cool to be true, I promise. Look. See this. We start by selecting lines, and this is why. Because I want to show you that you can use Edit Poly with whatever 3D object. So look, I click line, and I draw something that will be, very similar to a drawing that you may have imported from AutoCAD. And then see how many steps I will do before using Edit Poly. Look, I just apply Extrude so that I turn this object into a 3D solid. Then I will do something very interesting. Why not? That is, I make a box and I move it here so that the example would be a lot more complete. And check this. I select my extruded line. I go to compound, pro boolean. I make a subtraction and I cut that from my object because I'm trying to make something that looks like a room. Okay? And let me fix this. So, when I'm here, this is just a 3D object, and I can apply Edit Poly for a variety of reasons. First of all, I can notice that maybe the window is a little bit too small, so I can immediately select these lower vertices of my window, and I can move these vertices down. Another thing that I can do, and wait because this would be fantastic, is this. I have studied Connect, and I have seen that with Connect we can add more edges. So look what I will do here. I will do something very simple, that is, I select in this part where technically there should be the door of my room. I will select these two vertical edges, then with control I also select this opposite connect edges, and I click connect, and I will leave just one simple edge. So I click connect, and this is what I get. Okay. The reason why I've clicked connect is that in this way, first of all, I will move these edges a little bit up. But by using connect, in reality, what I have obtained is that those vertical polygons now have been split in these longer and in these shorter part, and same thing in the opposite side. So for you, which tool I will use? Now it is the time to use bridge. So I will select this face, I will select control this face, and I can now click bridge. Okay, ready for this? Look, I click bridge, and I could honestly click OK, but it won't be satisfying. So what I will do is I will also increase number of segments, at least 5 is fine. Okay, ready for this? Because this will be pretty shocking. See what I do now that I have this additional edges. I go back to edge editing mode, and I select 1, control, 2, 3, 4 edges. So I can move them up. Then I select only these, control and that, and I move this up. Boom! And I have created in my door, instead of just a regular door, I have created a door that has an arc on top. Okay? Till here? Perfect. So let me explain another example, and then I will give you your homework. That would be fantastic. So see this last example. Look, my last example instead is a combination of using connect, inset, and extrude. So look, I simply start from a box, and with my box I will apply edit poly. First thing first that I will do is I will use connect, and I will select, let me sketch it, I will select uh, this and this edge. Okay. Then I will use connect, but I won't use just one edge. I will select that I want 4 additional edges. And it would be phenomenal. Look, I select these. With Control, I select that as I sketched. Then I click Settings next to Connect. And I click that I want 4 additional edges, exactly as as the sketch that I have made. Okay, ready for this? Look, I click OK, and now my front polygon only have been split into smaller polygons. So what to do next? Next, I will click Polygon. I will select all these 5 polygons, and again I select one, then I hold Control and I click all additional polygons. And once that I do this, I click Inset and I click Settings next to Inset. But this is a perfect example where I'm not going to use Inset by group, because if I inset by group, I will obtain this weird, unuseful result. I have instead to use Inset by polygon, so that I can make this. So each polygon is offset as independent element. Okay? And last but not least, after clicking OK, I click Extrude. And as we have seen for those weird objects before, I will use a negative value for extrusion, so that my extruded polygons will go inside the box, but at the end, my result won't be just a weird random element. Believe it or not, we have created our first realistic furniture piece, that is this bookshelf. And now we can place it inside our small room. Fantastic. Believable, isn't it? Look at that. Okay? See a few messages. Perfect. No message. So now it is time for homeworks. Homeworks will be this. Look, What's that? First of all, this is the link of the folder where you should put your next homework. I will also leave these into the video once that the streaming will finish. But just in case, if you want to bookmark it, I will write it into the chat. So if you need to upload your next homework, just open this folder and bookmark it. I will also leave it into the description of this video, and let's see. So don't leave now, because I want to show you for a second what to do as next homework. There is this. Your next homework is called homework 6, and if you go to the Google Drive, you find already that folder that has been created. It's called homework 6. Homework 6, wait a second, something fell down here. Homework 6 is a folder that contains, it contains pictures of 5 different chairs. So what to do is, because I'm not that bad, you have not to model 5 different chairs, but by using only pictures as references. So there are 5 different chairs. Some of them are complex, or they look complex, but they are not. And you have 5 different options, because you have these 4, plus there is this stool also. Okay, what you have to do is very simple. That is, you are 100% free to choose 2 chairs, or the stool, but 2 of these objects, and you have to, by yourself, without any tutorial, you have to model 2 of these chairs inside one file only. You are 100% free to choose the chair or the stool that you want. There is no price, there is no better, no more complex, no less complex, and so on and so on. But you need to start creating objects without pre-made tutorials. Wait a second. You can use whatever tool you want, starting from first tools that we have studied: the boxes, lathe, loft, extrude, proboolean, edit, poly, and so on and so on. But you need to find your own ways to create objects like those that are in this folder. Okay? So, just to repeat, let me see if I can use this exactly, just to write, got it, a to-do list. Let's see if it works. So, homework 6. Let's see if it works. Ooh, very nice. So, homework 6 to do will be choose 2 chairs from the folder that is into the Google Drive, into Google Drive, and you need to make the two your selection basically. So you have to make two 3D models, but you must save one file only. So both chairs will be inside the same 3ds Max file. Okay? Is that clear? Wow. You give me a sign that you are there. Yes. Perfect. Also, again, as I said, I will leave this video into this channel so you can watch it over and over and over again. Unfortunately, I couldn't also have my previous video because of this. We have changed a little bit, and but this will stay into the channel so you can watch it again and again. Okay? As I can see, everything is clear. So, if you have no additional questions, I will close this live stream now, and I will simply save now so that I have time to save the video into the channel, changing the title, adding the folder into the description. Okay? Perfect. It has been a pleasure, and see you next week. But for now, have fun, and you will see why I'm picking slow. Fun, but not too much. Boom. Ooh, in the chat from another account. That's very common. Bye, everyone. See you next week.